So I'm tempted to assume Patrick and SpongeBob hosting the Kids' Choice Awards came about as a result of the immensely successful Super Bowl bit. I'd love to know if you could confirm whether Super Bowl commentary resulted in you guys hosting it, or was this already planned way in advance?
Well, we're calling it the Kids' Choice Bowl.
Yeah, I mean, that Super Bowl appearance, with SpongeBob and Patrick, calling the game, along with Nate Burleson and Noah Eagles, was a big gamble for Nickel. There's a lot of ways that could have gone wrong, and it went right in pretty much every way. It's amazing. It was kind of nerve-wracking, like, how's this going to work? And then it worked so well that the network was, let's do more of this. Where else can we plug this in? Tom and Bill in their motion capture suits goofing around as SpongeBob and Patrick. Seems like people like it. So that resulted in us. Are we hosting the Kids' Choice Awards?
Or are we observing?
Or are we just? I don't know.
Are we?
We haven't started rehearsals for it yet. But yeah, we're there. We're there in some capacity. I think we're definitely commenting on all the action. But yeah, I think the Super Bowl was kind of the dry run. SpongeBob doesn't like it too dry. Water would be nice for Kids' Choice.
Well, and obviously, and it's not as much of a shock. The Kids' Choice Award makes sense, as opposed to the Super Bowl, where it's more, what's happening here? Well, they're in Bikini Bottom, and I think it was
the
more
Super Bowl.
of an adventure.
There was even more WTF than them at the Kids' Choice Awards. But yeah, the Super Bowl was just crazy. Like, to be at that event and something of that magnitude, like a cultural happening, and just how many eyeballs were watching. And we're saying one of the best parts for us is how many people we've talked to since the Super Bowl who said, I don't usually watch the Super Bowl, or I'm not really a big football person, or my kids don't usually watch the Super Bowl with me. That's usually a dad thing that I do. And everybody got together, and something for everybody.
Right, or when the parents would see the kids watching the Nickelodeon broadcast and watch it with them.
Well, and I heard from some people who were having Super Bowl parties, and they turned on the Nickelodeon one, and the hardcore football guys were like, really? No, let's watch the real NFL broadcast. And then they're like, yeah, right, this is pretty funny, leave it on. Like they eventually got won over by the.
We got them.
We got them. We hooked them. The sheer weirdness of it, and it really was the. It really was the Super Bowl.
Where's the cough button?
It's not like it's not like we're doing anything to the Super Bowl. And the same with the Kids' Choice Awards. The Kids' Choice Awards are just going to continue apace as they do. And we've been doing the Kids' Choice Awards for years in some capacity. SpongeBob and Patrick always make an appearance in there somewhere, and we've won a lot of those orange blimps thanks to the voters out there. And yeah, thank you. And so I'm not begging for your vote, but if you can find it in your heart to vote for SpongeBob one more time,
look at his eyes.
Look in my eyes, please. You can make a difference. So yeah, it's we love the KCAs.
I think by now, especially that Super Bowl appearance, showed off how much the great chemistry you guys have. There are so many examples of a great comparison, like SpongeBob, Ernest Borgnine, and Tim Conway. All those years, they worked on Chaos Davy, then even decades later, still had that great chemistry. I'd love to know how you guys have developed the chemistry since you first started working together in SpongeBob.
Well, first of all, I checked out of chemistry in high school and into weightlifting. So I have to memorize? I have to study?
I bet neither one of those things comes in real handy nowadays. But
Indeed.
Well, he can bench press 500 lbs, y'all. But yeah.
500 bags of potato chips.
But yeah, chemistry. You either have it or you don't. Show business is a strange thing because you get cast with people. You don't really have, we're just actors. We just get cast, and who you work with is who they choose for you to work with. and then the chemistry's either there or it isn't. It's like a dating app. So
Yeah,
but you can't swipe left. You can't. I can't swipe left. If me and Bill didn't like each other, you're 25 years of being like shackled to somebody. You go, man, I really don't like this guy. But thankfully that didn't happen, because think of it, chemistry can work two ways.
Indeed.
It can either result in something amazing, or
Toxic.
there will be a really big explosion that will destroy everyone.
And sometimes the toxic can produce good content.
That is true too.
So
sometimes toxic chemistry, like maybe, I don't know that
hopefully
would work on SpongeBob, but
hopefully this is a happy chemistry. It
is for me, Bill.
and for me, coming, because I played sports when I was younger, a lot of team sports, and I loved team sports. And when I started studying theater, I found the two were very connected in terms of the ensemble experience of what you're working towards. So the better your cast members do, the better you do. You understand what I'm saying? So I love working with people that actually listen to each other, and it's a much better environment for everything, including the content.
Yeah, that's a good point. I mean, about the team aspect, that's really important to the show. And Team SpongeBob is just full of just A-game, top of the line people. Not just the cast obviously have I think they have that in spades, but sure. But it's also just everybody on the production, the artists, the music people, the engineers, that record our sessions. Everybody's just really on the same page, on the same team, and love what they're doing, and they're happy to be. We feel lucky to be working on SpongeBob, this thing that's managed to have such a great run and is a very rare bird in the business.
And as and we're now, it's 25th anniversary, so a lot of the younger people coming into the fold as writers or storyboard artists, they very often were heavily influenced by the show as they were growing up, and maybe even were inspired to go into the field by the show. So there's this extra layer of creative joy, if you will.
Yeah, it's
and
kind
connection.
of funny. Yeah, because our team is sort of a mix of like the old crusty, great at their job dogs that were there at the beginning, and then this new blood where it's kids who go, wow, I grew up loving SpongeBob, and now I'm writing stories or animating or doing storyboards for SpongeBob. That's great. Like this thing that I loved when I was a kid. I'm now working in it, and it's fun to be around that. Yeah. It's fun to be adjacent to that. We get energy from that energy.
I think recently, a few months ago, I saw a screening of Peewee's Big Adventure, one of my favorite films.
Wow.
Relevant, obviously. Paul Rubens sadly passed away. Still loved him. I'm sure he was a big animation. I'm surprised he never actually appeared in SpongeBob, to my knowledge, because I think he could be great.
Yeah.
But I think I've discussed with the producers how much, especially with Patrick's show, Pee-wee's DNA is very much influenced Patrick's show, but even SpongeBob in general, a friend kind of observed, pointed out to me, I'd love to know if Pee-wee and Paul Rubens kind of influenced SpongeBob. Point out.
I was never really, beyond the movie, I never saw the show, I just heard about it, so I can't honestly say that it influenced me, aside from just maybe even going back to Captain Kangaroo, where inanimate objects would be animated characters. And so there's the value of that, and the way, like SpongeBob will connect to items and have names for them and stuff.
Yeah.
I just loved it. Remember that beat in the movie? I'm trying to use the phone.
Oh yeah, the great in the hotel. Yeah, well,
and there's a biker fight or something, or whatever.
Well, I knew Paul and loved Pee-wee from the first time I saw like those specials, which were kind of more adult, like when he first did those HBO specials. It was kind of like a weird, twisted version of a 50s or 60s kids show,
right.
but a little more scatological than the Saturday morning show, which also snuck some very funny entendres and things in there. But I loved Peewee from the beginning, and when I used to see him on the David Letterman show, like talk show appearances and things, and that Peewee's Playhouse was such a creative show. There was nothing like it on Saturday morning at the time. That was way before I had kids, but it was during my 20s when I would just be coming home on Saturday morning, like at 10 o'clock a.m. going, hey, what's on? But so I loved the Playhouse, and then Pee-wee's Big Adventure. It was a big influence too. I remember when Steven Hillenburg pitched the character of SpongeBob to me, he mentioned Pee-wee as one of the building blocks. He's part this, part that, part this guy, a little bit of this guy. There's some Peewee Herman in there. Like he name dropped, Pee-wee, and that was kind of in between. That was before Pee-wee's comeback. Like Pee-wee wasn't really around then, and then Pee-wee came back, or Paul brought Pee-wee back, I should say, but. So Pee-wee's definitely part of SpongeBob's DNA, and in terms of the Patrick show, the Patrick Star show, for sure, Pee-wee's Playhouse and the house where Patrick and his family and his sister Squidina live is very redolent of the Playhouse on Pee-wee's Playhouse. So that sensibility is definitely there, and yeah, Pee-wee's Big Adventure is probably the movie my 21-year-old daughter has seen the most times in her life. And I'm so grateful for that movie, because people tell me that SpongeBob is this for them.
Sure.
Where when my daughter was having a hard day or going through something trying, whenever I would walk in and she was watching Pee-wee's Big Adventure, I knew that she had a tough day, and she, that was her medicine, that was her comfort food,
balm.
that was her I need this. And SpongeBob is like that for people now. I hear that all the time. Like, wow, whenever I'm having trauma in my life, I need some SpongeBob. Like, a great example of that is that a friend of mine said that he went to see the movie Oppenheimer, and at the end of Oppenheimer, right, it's just like Armageddon, and he said there was a couple of like 3 grown women sitting in front of him in the theater, and so Oppenheimer, mushroom cloud, and one of the women turns to her friend, and he hears her clearly say, I need to go home and watch some SpongeBob. So, forget Barbenheimer. We got Spongenheimer happening. Forget the Barbie Oppenheimer team up. We need Patrick Star and Oppenheimer.
We might need the medical community to study that,
Yeah, she was just traumatized. She's like, I need some SpongeBob.
I love it when I hear millennials say when they check into a hotel in a strange city, they'll just turn on some SpongeBob in their hotel room so they can feel comfortable in their new place. Yeah.
It's like wallpaper, It's like spraying their musk in the room so they feel like it's theirs.
It's like only yesterday, in the pre-pandemic times, we were just celebrating the 20th anniversary of SpongeBob. I know 25th. I can't believe it's already here. Here's to. I think you guys had a high note with that amazing live special. We guys appeared with live action. I don't know if you get something as as hilariously amazing as that, but what can you tease or hint at for the rest of the year or beyond for SpongeBob?
Well, I know that was that diner scene. Yeah, where we were dressed as that's what he's talking about.
Right.
We were simulacrums of our characters at that diner that they had.
Yeah.
You know what was weird about that diner that we shot that in? It kind of already looked like the Krusty Krab, even without really. It kind of was already the Krusty Krab without trying to be. And then there was very little redecorating that needed to be done, which I think was why they picked it. Like, wow, this place is the Krusty Krab. And it was kind of out there, like up there by Magic Mountain or whatever in L.A., outside of L.A. But that was fun. I'm with you that the anniversaries fly by. I remember the 5, the 10, the 15, the 20, and now here we are at 25. What's funnier than 24? 25. And it's hard to believe. And there's, we've been working so hard. There's so much happening. There's, multiple series, and then there's a Sandy Cheeks oriented movie called Saving Bikini Bottom that drops on streaming August 2 or August 3, early August, and all kinds of other stuff in the pipeline and in the works that we're
coming
working
up
on. Yeah, there's so much that we're working on and wrapping up and tying little bows on and starting and in the middle of and finishing up. Like there's so much.
And he's
great-
directing all of it.
Yeah, I voice directed, so it's fun. Well, I'm basically directing traffic. These guys direct themselves, but it's I'm like right this way, But I'm like the dancing traffic cop, that you see on YouTube.
That's a good image.
Yeah. So there's so much. It's just amazing that there's, and we're just so grateful that there's still such an appetite for it, and we love what we're doing, and the team that puts it together is the best in the business, and I feel really excited to have fans see the content that we're generating. It's really good, and I'm a lifelong animation freak, and I'm just proud to be on one of the last remaining cartoons that's still cartoony. Yeah, you know what I mean? That's all that squash and stretch. It's old school, classic, crazy, boing animation. Like, it doesn't have anything to do with reality. Like, you couldn't do it as a live action show, right? Like a lot of the animated cartoons, they should have just done this as a live action show. It's just people walking around,
The scripts are like reading a drama script
or
whatever.
a sitcom or whatever. But SpongeBob, there's no way that you could do that in live action. The Broadway show managed to pull that off very well.
Right.
But you could, as a Broadway show. But you couldn't do it as a. You could do a live action SpongeBob series like week to week. Why would you? But it can only be done in animation. There's no other medium.
Hillenburg also, he instilled that his love for early animation and all those dynamics are right in the foundation of our show. And that just gets more valuable as we go along.
And Steve, he loved classic animation and classic comedy, but he also liked surreal animation, that wasn't story driven. Like a lot of the animation that he did was not story or character. It was what's the word I'm looking for? Like
Stream of consciousness.
Yeah. It wasn't story, it was just imagery. It was just images. And I think that comes through in SpongeBob as well, and it's kind of part of SpongeBob's DNA. Is there's the characters, there's the stories, but there's also the graphic psychedelicness of it that is there too, and that's part of the mix. And the music, the music is part of the mix. The type of music that SpongeBob uses, and Steve just had a vision for all of that.
the pilot with the steel guitar and the Tiny Tim song.
Yeah, Hawaiian music, lap steel guitar. Tiny Tim in the pilot.
Oh my God.
Yeah,
what a perfect, brilliant choice that was. Having
Well,
a wonderful time.
who is more SpongeBob-y in the real human world, or who was more of a human SpongeBob than Tiny Tim? I mean, him and SpongeBob are kind of the same guy.
And I used to
like
see
kind of
him-
man children that like dance around and like sing and like don't
used to
care what
see
anyone
him.
thinks of them,
I used to see him at my bank in New York in
Oh,
the '80s.
I
He
opened
worked
for him.
we're at Apple Bank, and he would stand in.
He was huge.
Yeah, he was a big guy, and it was so exciting.
Yeah, they should have called him Large Tim. Yeah, XL Tim. But he, I opened for him a couple of times as a stand-up.
Oh wow!
Yeah, in Deep Ellum, Texas, and he was great. And this is before the SpongeBob pilot,
Sure.
So it's kind of weird that our my destiny and Tiny Tim's have sort of intertwined in a couple of different spots. But Steve, just touches like that. Like Steve always just knew what to do, and like this kind of disparate. Areas that he was plucking from, just stuff that he liked or thought was funny or thought was cool or was interested in, his marine biology and being one of them. It all was just this melange of stuff just worked in a way that is so random.
He threw it all in the beaker and shook it up.
Yeah,
and,
put it in the Cuisinart.
We got lucky.
Yeah, he juiced it.
Guys, it's a pleasure as always. I can't wait to see what SpongeBob and Patrick get up to when they host the Kids' Choice Awards.
Oh, it's going to be fun.
We'll find out.
It's-
We don't-
I
we don't-
know.
I haven't seen the script
Like
yet.
the Super Bowl, we don't quite know what it's going to be yet. But we're going to be in the moment. That's
Right.
part of the fun. It's seat of the square pants all the way.